Welcome to episode number 51 of Circles Off. I'm Rob Pizzola, joined by Johnny from betstamp. How's it going?
I'm very good. Ontario is live. Sports betting is here in a regulated way. A lot of nice bonuses, a lot of nice opening week stuff here, and we are ready to make some money. That's for sure. But Rob, more importantly, you were at the event of the year, from what I hear, Bet Bash 2, presented by Spanky in Las Vegas. We got to recap it. We got to hear about it. How was it? Unfortunately, for those who are listening right now and watching, I was unable to attend, stayed back in Ontario for the launch of legal sports betting. But Rob went, represent betstamp, repping the boys. And I'd love to hear some stories. For those on air, I have yet to hear any of the great stories from Rob. So anything here will be kind of a live reaction. And we're happy to hear about it.
I've avoided talking about Bet Bash for the entire day. We're recording at 5 o'clock Eastern time right now, end of the day. So this is the first time for sure. I will say this is going to be as honest and transparent as possible. Obviously, I would call Spanky a friend of mine. He organized the event. And I think he did a great job. Like my expectations were sadly like a little bit low going in. I didn't know what to expect, right? But from dealing with Spanky in the course of the month leading up to the event, sounded like he was pretty stressed out. But it ended up being like really organized. I thought the amount of people, like the size of the event was almost perfect. Like there was enough new faces you would see regularly and talk to. But also like not overwhelmingly too many people where you felt crowded or whatever. The actual events themselves were good. The venue was great. It was my first time at Circa, which is a hell of a sports book.
Nice book.
Man, like if I lived in Vegas, I'd probably spend a lot of time. I know you don't love the sportsbook experience. I do. I like to just go sit down and watch games and sweat them out and whatever. So I guess that doesn't make me a winning bettor in some people's eyes, the fact that I sweat games. But I thought it was a great event, man. I really did. Like I come back and I'm trying to think of what I would have done differently in order to, make it better. I don't know that I could possibly provide that type of feedback. I just, I thought it was like an A+, really.
Well, amazing. I'm excited to head up there next year. I was at the first one, but obviously couldn't make it. My apologies on air to Spanky himself for not attending his event. We'll make sure I get out there next time. But glad to hear it was good. The only story I did hear, which was because it was absolutely hilarious, was that our dear friend GRP Wins was escorted out of Bet Bash by security for some reason. So that's the one we got to hear first. What happened there?
That would have been so I flew into Vegas on Thursday. I believe that would have been a Saturday event, which was like when all the panels were happening. I'm pretty sure that's where it happened. I remember GRP Wins strolling right by me, like walked, because I was right at the back of the room standing. Most people were sitting watching these panels. I like to just stand at the back of the room, scope things out. GRP Wins walks by me. For some reason, the first thing he does is head right over to the table of the lunch table, which was chili dogs that day. And he's snapping pictures. And Fats, who I got introduced to this week, great dude, by the way, like really, really good dude. He just like caught GRP Wins out of the corner of his eye and just like wheeled right over there directly at him and just like shaking his head. Really brief conversation. Security came over and escorted him out of the building fairly quickly. He was in and out, really. It was like a matter of a minute and he was gonzo, or a few minutes, I should say. I also did notice GRP Wins at Circa for the national championship game, but he wasn't in the betstamp area. The Bet Bash area. He was behind the ropes and just kind of scoping it out.
So we had one guy sneak in, no ticket. He was basically escorted out real quick. So that's good to hear. Spanky's running a tight ship. And he did say, if you don't have your tickets to Bet Bash, you're not getting in. And power to him. He's a man of his word.
Well, I mean,
technically, he did get in.
He did get in, but he was
fast.
Escorted out pretty quickly. I don't know how he got in, really. Because every time I walked into that ballroom, I think it was at the D, I mean, somebody would look at me to see whether I was wearing a wristband or that I was wearing my name tag. He must have been waiting till like someone wasn't looking, and I don't know. I don't know his method. It worked very briefly, but Fats was all over it, like right away.
That's his enemy.
Oh, he saw him and he's just like right over. Yeah, that was fantastic.
And then I was also very happy to hear that you were paired at least with a good guest at the Bookie Better Breakfast.
So yes, that was great. So I was paired with Peter Jennings. That was a pretty cool event. I was kind of nervous when Spanky first asked me. He's like, "You going to be at one of the tables?" I'm like, I mean, someone's paying $500 to attend this event. They're going to sit down with Rob Pizzola. They're going to be pretty damn disappointed that they're paired with me, especially with all the other like great people at the event. Peter's great. I actually went, so like I got in Thursday, like I said. Friday was the registration for the event at the D. And I went over there, and as I was about to go up the escalator to register upstairs, Rufus and Peter were coming down the escalator. I saw them at the bottom, introduced myself to Peter, and I'm like, "You guys registered already?" They're like, No. It's like an hour wait up there. I'm like, "You got your golf clubs and your car, Rufus?" He's like, "Actually, I do." I'm like, "Let's go to the range." They're like, "Okay, let's go." So we were going to go to the range. We just ended up playing 9 holes at the National, which Rufus plays at a lot. Got to play with Peter. Man, that guy can bomb it. Holy like pure baseball swing, like that front foot off the ground. Big bomb bangers.
Big bomb bangers.
Oh yeah, he can hit the ball a ton. That was pretty fun. But I got to know him over the course of the weekend. He's a cool dude, and I will tell you another story about the Bookie Better Breakfast.
Let's hear it.
So the way it works is people just sit down at a table. Like if you're not there and you haven't been asked by Spanky to be like one of the bookies or bettors at the table, people just sit down. And then after everybody sits down, you kind of just like the rest of us go to our table. So people see you.
So you don't get to pick who your table is.
Yeah. Now, like some people did, like they'd just go up to somebody and be like, "Hey, what table are you at? I want to be at your table," and whatever. And they figured that out beforehand. But so I had a pretty like random variety of people at my table. One of them, I can't remember his name. I apologize. I had 3 people from Hoboken, New Jersey at my table that like all don't know each other. It's like a really small world. They were talking, but one of the guys was like, "I listened to this episode of CirclesOff where Johnny talked about building the F1 car." He's like, "I would guarantee not only can he not build it in 6 months, he cannot build it in his life." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me more." And he's like, "I used to work in a garage for like, it was like some offshoot of NASCAR or something like that." And he's like, the amount of different skills you need from team members in the garage, whether that's like welding or whatever, so on and so forth.
Get all the parts though. There's no welding. The parts are there.
You have to build it from scratch.
But Johnny, the pieces still have to go together.
Exactly.
You don't have to weld them. They come together. You don't see a guy under welding mid-race. They just pop on a part.
Yeah, but they put
maybe you drill. Maybe you need a drill. Maybe.
All right. But he continued on further and talked about how difficult it is to balance the car and that it always takes multiple team members. And then basically I said to him, can't remember his name, wish I remember his name, terrible with names. But I was basically, and this is why it sounds made up, but I guarantee you this person will reach out to us and like on Twitter or something.
Okay, good.
I'm 100% sure that they will. And he's just like, if I couldn't build an F1 car myself, and I've been a mechanic in a garage for, you know, certain portion of my life building race cars. So listen, I know you,
okay,
when you put your mind to something.
In your life is like that one I just would never agree with, because like I said, I can just go to school and get this. If I had a full lifetime, it's not even a question.
I think his argument was that no one could put together an F1 car entirely on their own.
Technology.
Maybe. What are you gonna do? You're going to build a robot that helps you?
Okay, here's one thing that I even just thought about right now. What happens if just one piece is too heavy?
Yeah. Oh, what happens if a piece is too heavy? Obviously, there's going to be pieces that are too heavy. You ever heard of a jack?
Yeah.
You ever heard of a lift?
Okay, but you still have to precisely place that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to put the wheels on the car. They weigh 50 pounds. I know what you lift.
I'm not saying it's going. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Yeah, but it could be done.
Anyways, that was actually one of the highlights of my trip because obviously,
while you were gone, we ordered 6 new office chairs for the office, and there was 6 people left here, and they got delivered. There were 6 boxes sitting right there.
Are they the ones still sitting at the front door right now?
No. Those are the empty boxes. The chairs are built.
Yeah.
But let me give you a quick recap of what happened here. We did a little friendly competition in the office. You know, I was trying to motivate the guys, and also we needed those chairs built. So basically the brains here, which is going to be the same brains that are going to go into this F1 car. I said, listen, guys, real quick, everyone has to build 1 chair. When you're done, you have to sit on the chair to support your weight. It has to be completed, done. Then you clean up your workstation, put everything back in the box, and move it to the side. Last 2 people to finish, pay the first 2 people to finish $20. They're like, what? I'm like, go. We all ran, grabbed the chairs, went quick, built them. And who finished first, Zach?
Okay. I did, because you didn't put the buttons in the back of the chair. What would have happened if you didn't put an integral little piece on that F1 car, Johnny?
I finished first for this chair build. Now, again,
you did.
This is 1 chair, and I'm not going to compare this chair to an F1 car. But what I am simply saying is this chair was built in probably about 6 minutes. Second place was actually Zach himself, which was an additional probably 3.5 minutes later than me.
No, whoa.
Also, I just want to say something.
I didn't put the plugs in the back. I didn't put the little plugs to hide the screw covers in the back until notified after. That's a quick second job. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Who else was a part of this in the office? Just name the names.
Leach, Packer.
Okay.
CP. And Luke.
Okay, so combined, those guys, Leach has not built a chair before.
Leach actually went for a DNF.
Of course, this is what I'm saying though. But like when we first got they're the office chairs we're sitting in right now, correct?
They're just black and they're very similar. Yeah, slightly different.
Yeah. But you had built
different brand, but very similar.
You had built most of the office chairs when we first got them in.
No, I actually never built a single one to
completion. I was gonna say I had watched you building them, struggling. I would have figured that you would have learned from the. I believe you put one of the backs on like the wrong way.
That wasn't me.
Somebody did. I sat in one of the chairs.
That was Josh.
All right. Anyways. All this to be said is this. Yeah, maybe, the F1 car, I'm saying 6 months. I'm sticking by it. It might be a little ambitious. However, 6 months for that car. I built a chair, 6 minutes, done.
Great comparison.
Allen key, too. Imagine I had a drill, tools, technology. Oh my goodness. All right. Anyways, but that's actually funny that guy was at your table and he brought that up. Any other CirclesOff listeners?
Tons. Like honestly,
I'm glad.
I'm not even exaggerating. Again, trying to stay humble here and like just be real. More people just recognized my voice, which was very weird. Okay, because I've done like media in Canada before. If I go to like a local casino, if I go to Niagara Falls and I go to Fallsview, or if I go to Woodbine, people come up to me all the time because they're used to me from back in the day. And even then I do the NFL Periscope on Sundays. A lot of people recognize that, but a lot of times
DFS darts.
Yeah.
At the
DFS
end.
darts at the end. But a lot, this is the only thing that we for a while did audio only, or I did audio only, but I'd be talking with someone and then we'd have a conversation, they'd leave and someone would come up to me and be like, hey man, I recognize your voice. You're Rob Pizzola. I'd be like, yeah. Like, you recognize my voice? Or like, yeah, I listen to the podcast or whatever. I'm like, well, start watching the podcast so we can get some more YouTube subscribers. Like, oh yeah, forgot about that, whatever. But that happened a lot. Like, it literally happened double-digit times where someone came up to me and said, I just heard your voice. I know that voice. Or, they knew exactly who I was right away. So
let's see how many subscriptions we're at right now.
Yeah. So
I'm at 514 subs.
Yeah, we got up.
We're moving up. Our viewership is 90% audio only right now.
Oh, I know.
The video for full length podcasts is tough. However, we're growing this.
It's what was really interesting to me about the whole thing too is kind of I don't think we've ever shared this on air before, but like me and Johnny had been working on a podcast like ideas for a long time. And Johnny actually pitched it to me in the first place with like a PowerPoint deck, as he's apt to do, of like, this is what other people are doing in the space. We need to find like carve out some sort of niche, so on and so forth. We went back and forth talking about topics and whatever, and how we were going to evolve this. But we kind of wanted to make it like something that is for all bettors, right? Like anyone can listen to it and gain some sort of value out of it. And for me, what was great is that it's like kind of mission accomplished, because I had people who were like literally some of the best bettors in the world who would come up and be like, it's a great podcast. Don't necessarily learn anything from it, but it's like a great listen. I love hearing you guys break things down. Love the interviews. I had people who were there at Bet Bash who were just recreational bettors and literally just wanted to meet people, where they're like, you know, I literally went from being a losing bettor to a winning bettor just by listening to this podcast. So, I will give myself the Barry Horowitz pat on the back, but the hard work has paid off.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now is I don't necessarily think the podcast is for everyone right now. It's for everyone who bets, for sure.
True.
But
which was sort of the goal to start.
Yeah, but right now we are like, if you don't bet on sports, you don't know what sports betting is. You don't know what odds are, how to calculate anything. Like you don't even know what minus 110 is, that it's 110 to win 100. Then the podcast is honestly not for you. And we're hoping to potentially find other ways to fix this. You know, or maybe launch a subset or something on YouTube. But yeah, currently I'd say there's pretty much no value for someone who doesn't know how to calculate odds or anything like that, because they do need to take that step before they can kind of get into everything. So how are the panels? Who is up there? I saw, you know, we had Alan Boston on there.
Oh, man.
He was in shorts and a shirt, and then he was right beside a couple guys in suits. I was like, well, that's sums it up, I guess.
Alan Boston is a very interesting character. I didn't talk to him over the course of the weekend. Most of the time, to be honest with you, he was like one of the most coveted people for like just one-on-one time. Like anytime I was about to approach him, someone else was there. Like I could see why. He's a character. Like the first night I was there, Thursday, I went to an event that Roxy Roxborough hosted, which was fantastic. But after we left that event, Spanky's like, let's go up to the D ballroom. I'm like, what's there? This is a true story. He's like, Alan Boston there's like some sort of movie. I can't even remember what the movie's called. I haven't seen it before. It's like I said, I'm horrible at remembering things, so it's kind of slipped my mind now. He's like, we'll go catch the tail end of this movie, and then Alan Boston's giving a review of it afterwards. So on the way up to the D ballroom, I'm like, let's make a bet on how many people are in this auditorium right now. And Spanky's like, okay, you set a line. I'll make a bet for drinks. I'm like, no. You set the line. I'll make a bet. He said 49.5. I said under.
For total people.
For total people in the ballroom. Slowly opened the door. And just like we were counting from outside, there was 42. So I won the bet. But anyways, I walked in. I'm watching the end of this movie with no context. By the way, last 10 minutes seemed like a movie that I might enjoy, but I had zero context to what was happening. Couldn't figure it out. Movie ended. People are clapping. So Alan Boston goes up to the screen to give his review. And he's just up there and he pulls out these notes he has. And he's looking at them. And he just like crumples it up and just throws it. He's like, screw these notes or whatever. I'm just going to tell you what I think about this movie and whatever. And it was actually pretty interesting to listen to him. He gave like a lot of background about the movie, like historical facts. This person died in filming and wasn't supposed to actually be on the so whatever. I'm listening to him talk. I'm like, okay, I can see why, like, this guy's a character. He was like up there in front of a group of people and was just like, then we got to the panels later in the week, which was, I'll share the story. Like I said, I would want to share for everyone who is there, but Rufus will hate me for this, but I'll bring it up anyways. He did a panel on ethics, the ethics of sports betting, which was
so who was on the panel?
I'm trying to remember who was with him. I think Chris Bruno. I don't remember the exact. I'm horrible with. I'm gonna mix up who was with who.
Okay, not important, but continue.
Ethics of sports betting. A lot of it was centered around, should sports books be allowed to do certain things? Should they be allowed to take $100,000 bet from one person, but a $2 limit someone else to a $2 bet? And Alan Boston's point of view on a lot of the stuff was, he doesn't love it, but he doesn't think it's unethical. He thinks from an ethical point of view, they're running a business. They should be able to do what they want to run a business just like anyone else can. So at the end, I believe someone asked him a question about like, does he think that there's anything in the space that's unethical? And my God, I was not ready for his response. I'll give some background on this as well, but he basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was pretty close to what he said, which was, I think it's unethical for someone to shit on touts for year after year after year and then release their DFS projections for money because they've lost their edge betting on sports. He was referring to Rufus, who's now releasing his golf projections for Establish the Run. I was in the room, messaged Rufus because I didn't see him right away. I'm like, oh man. And then Rufus just responded to me. He's like, I'm here. I heard it type of thing. But it was like a very awkward moment. Like it's ingrained in my memory how the room reacted to that, because some people didn't know what he was talking about, but some people did. But that's like Alan Boston, and he fits the Twitter persona. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
like
how he does it on Twitter.
Sometimes you meet someone and you're like for example, so random, we had him on the Super Bowl props podcast. Pikachu Betts was dressed in the Pikachu costume. Okay, I've met Pikachu Betts in real life at MIT Sloan Sports Analytic Conference. He's like a really down to earth, quiet, like just like good dude. On the internet, you would think that this guy was like
whack job.
Yeah, exactly, right? So Alan Boston's persona, like his internet persona matches his real persona from what I was able to gather being around him for most of the weekend. But that was pretty interesting. Other panels were there's like the panels were really good. And I will say like a couple things. Gil Alexander hosted one, Doug Kazarian hosted the other. They're very good at directing the conversation as well.
Those guys are TV professionals.
So good.
Best in the biz.
And two of the guys that I love spending time with the most in the entire weekend.
By the way, I will say this about both those guys. We had Dougie K on the podcast, but I don't really know him personally outside of that. And then I've never met or spoken to Gil. But the reason those guys are so good at their job of like being basically like a moderator for betting and like hosting shows is because they actually bet. This is a huge issue. I know we're now like off the rails.
I completely agree with you.
Those guys actually bet on sports under their own name, under their own accounts. They fund their own account. They have their own money and they bet. It doesn't matter how much you bet. I presume both of those people are betting decent amounts at the minimum. It doesn't matter how much you bet. The fact that they actually bet under their own name and try to win money betting makes them a good host and a significantly better host than anyone else you see on any other network. And now with all this stuff coming, like we see it in Canada already, the shows already, first week in Ontario, the amount of gambling shows that launch with hosts that you can tell never once placed a bet in their entire life until probably this week and are just clueless, don't know what this is, making mistakes that would never be mistaken for anybody who has ever, like, even if you just bet for a year, you would never make the mistakes these guys are making, misquoting odds, misquoting payouts and things like that. It's crazy. So yeah, both of those guys, huge respects for both, but mainly because they actually bet. That's why they're so good. And that's like a huge aspect. It's like they're professional on cam. They know how to work the camera, well-spoken, but also do have betting knowledge and passion for it.
Completely agree with you. You definitely get
Just try to get Gil on the pod if he's interested.
I will. I definitely will follow up with him. I will say, like, I had some pretty candid personal conversations with people this week. Those would have been two of maybe a handful of guys that were just really down to earth. And I'm not going to divulge, what we talked about, but they were like really personal conversations, and both are great, like really good. And I think that they were able to lead the panels in a right direction. And it was just interesting. Like, listen, I don't want to say like I'm above, I learn stuff all the time. Like I literally learn stuff all the time. Even in the betting space, I'm learning stuff regularly. You can still be an expert in a space and constantly be learning. And I always will be. So I'm not gaining a ton of value in listening to these people on these panels, even though they're some of the best bettors in the world, some of the best bookmakers in the world. But like the conversations were so interesting, like really grabbed my attention. The Circa guys that were up there, Matt Metcalf, Jeff Davis, just like really, really smart people. So I thought all the events were good. I really did think all the events were good. Like, But maybe from the panel's point of view, I was more entertained than informed. Let's put it that way.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, it seemed like a really good event because just like, I guess same principle, but, Spanky knows his stuff, no doubt about it. And, when building these panels, if you see like, there's a conference with like a sports gambling panel, you might have like people there that are not necessarily qualified, like a marketing director at a sports book. You know what I mean? They're definitely, potentially good at their job and good person, but tough to actually discuss like betting and impacts and stuff like that when you're like, say, a marketing manager. So I presume, and from what I saw in all the panels, everyone up there was like someone who's, pretty well respected and at least has earned their keep within the space enough to actually give out information. And same deal with the bookie better breakfast. Like, we laugh, someone paid $500, had to sit with Rob, but like the knowledge that Rob has in the space is immense. He could teach a lot of people a lot of different things. And same with Peter Jennings, whether it be in like the DFS space or just like modeling, business, everything, right? So a lot of people, I think, would have found value from that ticket much more than the cost of admission. I'm glad it was a well-run event. I'll get in on the next one. I get FOMO here. I am upset that I wasn't there. I wasn't able to go. Was not really by choice, more just business needs, but it is what it is.
I appreciate that I was the one that was able to go from the company for sure. You would have certainly had a great time at an event like that. Legends everywhere, just guys that, and girls, by the way, I should say as well. Not many, but I got to talk to RX Gamble, Gina Fiore on Twitter as well, and pick her brain a little bit. But it was just one of the most underrated things was the speed networking event. And I know a lot of people.
Kanish buried you.
He buried me on Twitter, okay?
You got to read it for someone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was photographers all around taking pictures of the event, and they posted on the Bet Bash Twitter account. A lot of people were responding like, "Oh, this is my nightmare," or whatever. I thought it was really cool. Now, maybe it was just the people I got paired with, because I know some people didn't have the same experience, but from an organizational level, it was really well organized. Like, you can put in kinds of people you want to talk to, kinds of people you don't want to talk to, so on and so forth. But what did Kanish say?
Oh, he buried you hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this was great. I laughed really hard when I read it. So.
Uncle K, I know you're listening. You got to start tweeting more. The best in the biz in the troll game for gambling Twitter. This was an epic one. We appreciate it. So you go to his Twitter. There is a picture of a room of people speed networking. Okay?
We'll show the picture up on screen for the YouTube.
Yes. If you look at this photo, you would need to zoom in and really scroll around to find anyone and zoom in. So he spent some time scrolling, found a pic of Rob, and Rob is just talking to someone who is not facing the camera. You can't see who it is. And he quote tweeted the conversation. He says, he's pretending to be Pizzola. He's like, "You've probably seen me on my Sunday morning Periscopes." He's like, "No? Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure you got to be a CirclesOff listener, right?" "Oh, no again, huh? Well, at least you're tracking your bets on betstamp, right?" He's like, "You don't know what that is?" He's like, "All right, listen, buddy. Just download the app and I'll buy you a drink." And put up the photo for those on the audio. Man, that was an epic one, because just like it's so perfect of like the three things that Rob would potentially say. If someone's like, "Oh, so what do you do?" He would literally say those three things. And if the guy said no, he would be like, "All right, so this is what it is. You got to do this."
Not in that order.
Yeah, not in that order. Probably CirclesOff first.
I would have went betstamp first. That's kind of how I approached it. You only have 7 minutes to talk to people in your speed networking. Now the thing is
one-on-one?
It's one-on-one. The challenge is, like, for me especially, and again, I don't like, this is not an ego thing, but the majority of people I sat down with know who I am or know me in some capacity. So it's very different for me to do an intro. A lot of people know what betstamp is and CirclesOff or whatever. So I'm more asking them questions because I'm interested in what they do. But yeah, I got some good characters. I thought the event was good. Now it feels like you ran a marathon after that, because it's like consecutive, right? It's just like you have like a minute in between everything to get to your next spot. I barely had time to take a piss. I was almost gonna piss my pants. I'm not even joking. I had to run to take a piss, and there's so many people that are waiting to take a piss. So that was one of the issues with that event overall. But I had one guy who runs a bonus hunting business in different states in the US, where he's basically like, you don't want to do the bonus hunting in bets? He was literally presenting sheets of paper of like, this is how to maximize the bonus at every single book. I will do this for you and just take a small commission type of thing, which was interesting. I thought it was like, I mean, I don't know the legalities of it or whatever. I just thought it was.
Hey, everyone's got a right to grind. And honestly, that was awesome.
I got paired with some other, probably half the people I got paired with were other bettors, which I think was cool, especially in sports that I typically don't bet on. The only miss was like one of the guys I got paired with near the end. He just sits down and I'm like, oh, what do you do? He's like, oh, I lose a lot of money betting. I'm here trying to win or whatever. So I'm like, oh, where do you bet? Do you bet at multiple books? What are you doing? So on and so forth. He's like, no, I have this one account that I bet into. I'm like, oh, you can't, you're doing yourself a disservice. I'm giving like the bet stamp, like our philosophy, right? It's a real philosophy. You should bet in as many accounts as possible. But this guy's betting into an account where he gets a 10% rebate. So I can understand why he's only betting in one spot. He's getting 10% rebate. But he's like, I can't win, man. Even with the rebate. And I'm like, buddy, if you want to hand over your account, I mean, like, well, you can win. Like, we'll make it happen. He's like, no, I just want some picks. I need to know what's good today. And he's like, he's just basically like going through the board, right? He's like,
in the speed session,
session, Colorado, Pittsburgh. You like anything here? You want? And I'm like, what am I doing here?
He's like, listen, buddy, we can't do it. And then he's like, all right, Florida, Toronto. Like, all right, fine.
I hope this guy's not listening, but I gave him a play for a game that intentionally had already started, so that he couldn't bet it. That's the truth.
Why?
Because I didn't like. I don't want to deal with this. Like, I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with this guy coming back to me at like a dinner at night and being like, "Hey, buddy, you cost me like $5,000. Like, give me another play." Like, where is this going? You know what I'm saying? What is going to happen here? So I gave him a play that already started. You want to know what happened? He live betted.
No,
he did. He won.
Oh, let's go.
He won. He live bet the under in the Penguins Avalanche game. I was opposite of Dink in that game. He was on the over. I watched the end of that game at Circa Sportsbook. Someone on the Avs missed an empty netter by like an inch.
What was it a 5.5 or a 6?
I played 6. This guy live bet 5.5 because it was 0-0 like 6 minutes into the game or whatever. And
land 5, 3-2.
Landed 3-2 final.
Colorado, yeah.
What a sweat that was. But
wow.
That was another good event. Like, there were so many good events. Stadium swim. That was the first time I was ever at stadium swim. Holy geez, what a banger of a venue.
Stadium swim is nice if you want to, just go in a pool with a bunch of other people, watch some sports, crush some beers, and cash some bets.
I was in the pool pretty loaded with Alfonso Straffen.
Oh yeah,
what a legend that guy is as well. Just great follow on Twitter, great person. I mean, there's too many names to list, but I certainly have like a Mount Rushmore, I think, of people that I was able to hang out with. And no, but please don't get offended if you're not on this list and you spent time with me this weekend. But the names I will give, I think a lot of people would agree that they're just like amazing people to be around. Number 1, all-time best person to be around, Michael Craig.
Mike Craig, that guy's the man.
We had him on the podcast when we were audio only. I wish we were video so everyone could see how he's always smiling no matter what. Like, perma smile. Doesn't matter. That guy, I don't know how he does it. But he will be, if he goes on these trips, I've networked with him before, I don't think he sleeps. I honestly don't think he sleeps for like 3 or 4 days.
It's because he has kids. And then he wants to get away from, like, when he's away, he's like, I'm not going to go to bed early. I go to bed early with my kids, probably.
It's true. As soon as he gets out there, though, he's the type of guy. We would spend a lot of time at the Legacy Club, which is the quote the 60th floor of Circa. It's not. I don't think it really is. I think you just put 60 on the elevator or whatever. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but rooftop bar there, and like Mike is the guy that is like, I'm not leaving until they kick me out. They would literally turn the lights on. They would turn the lights on, and he still wouldn't leave. Like, they're like, but it was a great event, and he's definitely number 1. Chris Bruno. One of the best episodes in sports betting podcast history, which we've talked about before. It's the best episode of Be Better Betters with Spanky. We don't promote a lot of other things a lot, but I mean, you check it out. He is amazing. in real life as well. Just great dude to be around. We think alike, so that was cool.
Chris Bruno, I talked to him at the first event. Great experience on my end as well. Was a lot of really cool stories, and he's a very, very sharp guy, even still. And so you can only imagine how good he was back in the day as well, when stuff was a lot easier. So crazy.
So those two for sure. If anyone who watched the Super Bowl picks episode would remember Spreadopedia, holy jeez. I've known Spreadopedia for a long time, but like not known. One of my first trips ever to Vegas, which had been over 10 years ago, I went to dinner with him and Preston, Sports Cheetah, and I haven't seen him since then. What a character, man.
Yeah.
He's rocking like the tracksuits, like the full tracksuit. You know what I'm saying? like white,
nice.
Like, oh man, all the time with the flip flops, 0 F's given.
That's what I like to wear too.
Yeah, he's just a legend, man. I walk into him in the sports book. He's got like a stack of like MLB futures like this. I'm talking like big bets too. I'm like, you carry these all around with you at all times or whatever? He's like, I got to know what I bet and what I
don't know what he's going to get robbed.
Yeah. So I'm like, buddy, if somebody jumps you in the parking lot, you're going to lose a lot of money here. Hilarious. Great dude. The 4th spot, very difficult, but Dougie K, also a legend.
Doug Kazarian.
I throw around the term like legend a lot, but these people are Doug Kazarian. Go back to what you were talking about with the sports betting. Like he bets.
Yeah, we had him on the pod when he like that exploit, which everyone got mad at him for because he worked for ESPN, but he literally just found an edge and bet it. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, of course he bets. Yeah.
Yeah, but like those are the kind of guys you want to be around, like when you're at a sports book, right? Where like every commercial break, it goes, live line comes up, you're talking about it. Like he's a great dude, man. So what a weekend. I'm exhausted. Slept on the plane, didn't matter. By the way, the stupid shit at the airport, I have to rant about this a little bit. It's a Canadian specific thing. We land in Toronto. Our flight took off a little bit late from Vegas. We land in Toronto. There's like 25 people that have, connections. A lot of them don't have enough time to make their flight. So they make an announcement like let the people with connections through so that they can get off the plane quicker. I'm down with that. I don't care. I understand. I don't think it's a horrible experience for someone to...
you can't miss a connector.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely brutal. Then you got to eat airport food and sleep in the airport probably.
I'm good with that. So they let these people off the plane, which I'm fine with. But then there's like everyone else sit back down. Like, okay, we have to space out how we let people off the plane. So because we let out a batch, we have to wait 5 minutes to let out another 75 people.
Due to COVID?
For social distancing.
No.
Bro, we were all on a plane together. And now granted, we're all wearing masks, but we all have to wear masks in the airport as well. We're literally all on a plane together, but now we have to social distance when we get off. Do you know what happens when you let off 75 people at a time? They just all end up in the same line going through customs. So like there's absolutely no difference. I can't even get started.
I'm just glad they're taking the proper precautions and
no, listen, here's the thing. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm pro like proper precautions that are like backed by science and stuff like that. But I wore a mask for like 2 years. You know how I was. Like I took it. I'm type 1 diabetic. I take COVID very seriously. But some of the things trigger me so much because they make no sense, man.
It is what it is.
Makes no sense. How can anyone say that makes sense? We're going to let you off in batches of 75, but we're going to have you all line up in the same line when you get to customs afterwards. Okay.
It's tough. I don't know what to say. All I can say is, like I said, like I'm just happy they're taking the proper precautions
Yep.
and like, everything's going down
I hear you.
according to plan, and like it is what it is. But one thing that's going to be unreal, last thing before we go, today is Wednesday and we're recording. Monday morning, 8 a.m. We're hitting bombs. First round of the year. Rob and I are heading out 8 a.m. for a nice, clean, smooth 18 holes. I cannot wait. Weather finally shaping up here in Ontario, and we're getting back on the course. So it'll be potentially the day after Tiger Woods wins the Masters. Now that still yet to be seen, but potentially the day after Tiger wins the Masters, we're going to be fresh on the course for the first round of the year, where I will undoubtedly shoot a very clean 108. Messy. First round of the year, I will probably shoot around that for the first round of the year, and then I'll lower, and I'll get lower after a couple rounds.
How many balls lost?
Johnny loses a lot of balls.
I do lose a lot because I'm also a reckless golfer. I don't lay up, and I don't even. It's true. I don't care about that because that's not
going to. Anyone who knows you personally is not surprised that you don't lay up.
But then the reason is like, what's the fun? What's the fun of laying up when I'm not good at golf anyways, right? Like I normally shoot like near the end of last year. I'm shooting in the high 90s full round. Okay, so maybe like shooting like 97, 98s. So if I'm shooting 97, 98s, yes. Could I get that down to a 93 by laying up? Yes. But what's the fun in that? The fun is I want to make a birdie and go nuts and then be like, yeah, I had 3 pars and 2 birds that round. And yes, did I have a couple blow up holes? Maybe. Did I put it in the water from 200 out when I should have 100% laid up and there's no way I was sticking on the green? Yes. But what if I stick that green? Or even better, what if I hole out? You always got to go for a hole out. If you're not good at golf, you always go for a hole out. It's about the story. Because when I hit eventually an eagle off a hole out or an albatross off a hole out, then I'm going to literally tell everyone, but yeah, I eagled this par 5 or I albatross this par 5. And they'll be like, how did you do that? I'm like, I literally gunned it for the green when I obviously shouldn't have.
See, my philosophy couldn't be any more different. We're polar opposites when we play. Johnny will be like, oh, you see how I just hit my 5 iron, like whatever, 220 yards. That's the professional level. And I'll be like, yeah, but the ball's in the woods. Like I hit my 5 iron like 190, but the ball went straight.
He's absolutely right. But like, this is what I'm about. I'd rather hit like incredible shots, one in every 6, than hit average shots 5 in every 6. And you still
I'm playing for score. I'm playing for overall score.
And Rob does shoot a better score than me. However, when I put it together,
I agree. You have way more potential. You're younger than me too, and you can bomb it already. You definitely potential there. I would admit that. Like at your peak, you will 100% be better than me.
But also,
I'm
not going to get there because I don't practice. Everyone who wants to get good at golf always says like, oh yeah, it's another season. You know what they don't realize? Like nobody practices golf. Do you ever practice? Like, yeah.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I would go to like simulators, but like I didn't practice enough. So here's the thing.
Like, do you ever stand at the side of the green? Like in the chipping green?
Do a practice swing.
And just like, no, not even that. Like, do you ever go like, let's say you're just off the fringe and just like you're trying to roll a ball in. Do you ever just go to the side and just like hit 200 chips? No, because no one does that.
I don't have the time to do anything.
Yeah, because we don't want to practice. Yes. We don't practice because you'd rather just go on the range and hit bombs, or you'd rather play an actual round. But really, how are you going to get better? You actually have to start with the short game, anything like 30 and in, for example, and like stick them close so you can start making putts. That's how you're going to save the majority of strokes. But nobody wants to just like go off the green and just chip 100 balls a week.
See, 200 balls a week. I can do that during golf season. I probably should. Like the chipping and putting, but I cannot like fix my swing in golf season because I play so often, right? So if I go get a lesson or something and somebody's working on something with me, when I'm standing over the ball, all I'm thinking about is what I just learned is horrible. And like you piss away rounds just to like, I don't want to piss away rounds. I don't know. It's a tough game, but luckily you'd be very thankful. I booked country club, so we get to use the cart path. Because if I had booked Station Creek next week, we'd be walking. And there was a 0% chance this guy is walking the course.
Oh, Johnny's been working out.
I hate walking the course.
I told last year I showed up once and I had my my clubs in a pull cart. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm gonna walk." He's like, "I'm not playing with you if you're walking."
No, because like we're honestly there we're there in a limited amount of time capacity. Like if you walk, not only are you taking more time for your own round, but now like the guys behind you are like, oh, these guys walking. Like,
yes, that is true. Like, that is true.
Okay, maybe if you own the course, do what you want. Don't get me wrong. But like we're playing sometimes rounds like 3:30 p.m. or like even sometimes we were playing last year like 5:30 p.m. rounds. You can't walk those. Like there's people behind you trying to finish their round. Like you're only going to get the round in. Like it's gonna get dark.
We were playing the practice course that day, the par threes.
Okay, fine. You can.
You're
walk that,
still yelling at me though. He's like, no, there's no way I'm walking that. It's only threes I'm short for. I got a cart. Yeah, I got a cart afterwards. Of course, he's like, no, I'm not playing that or whatever. But the hill going down sucks if you walk, but you have to come back up.
Monday morning, we'll give an update next week on the scores for the round. I have a feeling like but I'm on same clubs. No new clubs. Yeah. Nothing.
I played 9 holes, like I said, with Jennings and
how'd you do?
The first hole, people have to understand, like we live in Toronto. We don't have winter golf. I haven't swung a golf club since we last played last year. The first hole, I picked up my ball after like 10 shots. I'm like, this is embarrassing. I'm out with Rufus, who's good. Peter's good. I'm like, I'm just slowing these guys down. I'm going to pick up my ball. It was a disaster of a hole. But then, like, you start to feel it afterwards. I made 3 pars out of 4 holes. The 2 par 3s, I lipped out for birdie on both of them. They had, like, really good tee shots. And then it kind of ended a little bit more poorly. So it was up and down. But, yeah, you know, I hit some good shots here and there. But, yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
I have it in my notes. One day I will break 80 on the course. One day I will put it all together for a round, probably 5 to 10 years from now. And I will shoot a 79.
I'll tell you right now, I don't think it would take you that long to have a round under 80.
I shot 82 last year.
I have so much more faith in you doing that in less than 5 years than you building an F1 car ever in your life.
I would 100%. Okay, he's 100%.
But you realize if you play golf every single day for the rest of your life, right now, you're not even going to be that good.
No, I understand. But I'll tell you what the bigger problem is with me and you. This is just the truth for anyone who golfs out there. They know what we're talking about. We're garbage. Okay, we're shit golfers, but we continue to ingrain these bad habits over and over and over. Like Johnny's got the biggest slice off the tee you'll ever see in your life, but you swing like that over and over. It's so hard to like. Now that we've swung like that for so long and we develop these bad habits, it's so hard to come out of them.
Yeah, now I just aim right and then just play the slice. And it works for like 2 holes around where I just get an unbelievable drive because I bomb it and it slices left and then I just have like 100 in for a par 4.
And then there's the one tee shot that just goes directly straight like 270 yards through the air and just like there's no finding that ball. He's crossing fairways and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean that's golf, man. It's an amazing sport. I wish I had played more in Vegas when I was there, but I couldn't. Mike Craig would not let me leave the bar.
I am fired up for Monday, though.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, everyone, sorry if you were expecting some gambling content.
We'll be back. This was a Bet Bash review. It was a one-off. I mean, I just wanted to like let people know the honest opinion of how it was.
If you're still here at this point, then that means you're actually a real listener of CirclesOff. So what I will ask is for anyone who's still a real listener right now, please DM either CirclesOff on Twitter or DM betstamp or Rob Pizzola. And please actually suggest people who you think would be entertaining guests. It doesn't have to be people with massive followings. You know, it'll literally be someone who has no following or is not even on social media. But please suggest guests that you think would be interesting to learn from or to hear from or just to hear about. It would help us out a lot. We have a lot of good guests lined up. We're always looking for more. And we're really happy that, we're happy to be someone's like first podcast that they come on to kind of get it going. We're willing to like kind of take that risk and just and go through there. So please, suggestions always needed. And yeah, if you're still listening, please rate, review, 5 stars. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, subscribe, rate, and review. Peace.